phone or any other electronic device, we just ask if you'll turn it off until to the end of the meeting. We would appreciate it. At this time, if you'll stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you that we've had the opportunity to come together this morning. Dear Lord, as always, we just ask that as we take care of the business of this county, we just ask that you guide our thoughts, our actions, and our words, that what we do will bring glory to you and at the same time will be what is in the best interest of this county. We thank you for everyone that is here this morning. We ask that you give them a safe trip back to their respective places. And we pray these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first we need to adopt the agenda.
I have one ad.
Okay, one ad, all right.
And that will be confirmation of the purchase of an ambulance from
Okay, where do you want that?
just
New business number 5?
Right, new business number.
Okay, number 5 under new business will be the purchase of an ambulance from Taylor County. Okay, anything else? If there's nothing else, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. We have the minutes from the October 25th work session and the November 2nd regular meeting at 5 p.m., which was a rescheduled meeting from the 25th. You had an opportunity to look at these minutes. Are there any changes or corrections?
The only one that I see would be in the first section where I had stated the time that the hazard was, should have been the 1990s. So, only thing that I saw.
Anything else? Okay, if there are no other changes, can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we come now to the municipal comments. We have Mayor Glover from Greenville.
Good morning,
Good morning.
and thank you for this opportunity. We are in the process of planning a Christmas parade for the city on December the 17th at 12:30 p.m. And we would certainly encourage, beg, and whatever, the county to participate. And we did accept our grant on last Wednesday, our CDBG grant of $500,000, which will be used to improve the infrastructure in the Baptist Hill area.
Okay. Well, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Westbury, Manchester.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, congratulations on your successful campaign with your fire district.
Thank you.
I know all of you worked so hard to make sure the public was well informed, and it certainly paid off for you. In Manchester, Saturday the 12th, beginning at 9, we have our Christmas Craft Express at the Mill property. This will be a lot of crafts, a lot of Christmas themed gifts and all. And invite everyone to attend that. And again, Saturday the 12th, beginning at 9. There'll be lots of food this time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other cities represented? All right, we'll come down to our constitutional officers. We have Ms. Peacock.
Good morning.
Good morning.
2016 property taxes are starting to come in good, so that's looking good. And the online vehicle renewal is set to be active by the end of this month, and that's the ordinance plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody representing any of the other officers? Okay. All right, we'll move on to department heads, and we'll start over here with Brand.
I have another report.
Okay. Tyrell?
I have nothing to say.
Ron?
I only have a couple here.
Jane?
You know, I always have something. Actually, today it's not about keeping Meriwether beautiful, it's about my other job. Just wanted to share with y'all, and I'll give you a copy of it if you haven't seen it. We have an ad in the Georgia Trend magazine, so just wanted y'all to see that and pass these on down. We have to watch our advertising dollars tremendously, but this was an article, Kia's mentioned it, I think you've got 2 copies
Yeah, I
there. And so we did advertise in Georgia Trend. And then, I don't know whether to trust surveys or polls anymore after last night, but there was a survey taken of the metro Atlanta area, the best of economic development in metro Atlanta. And I'll pass these around to you. I did not participate in this survey, so I didn't sway it one way or the other. But on about page 4, I believe it is, number 14, best places for manufacturing in South Metro Atlanta. There were 3 listed, and Meriwether County is one of those.
Oh, that's great.
And then number 16, I mean, there's 4 pages of different things, but the ones that we were in was the best manufacturing. And number 16, best locations in Metro Atlanta for automotive suppliers. And Meriwether County was listed there. So I just wanted to share that with you. About a year ago, there was another survey taken. It was a little different. It wasn't the Metro Atlanta area, but this one, I have no idea. I don't even know when it was done, but they did send me the copies of it. So just want to share that with you, that we're making a little progress around here.
Thank you, that's good news. Keith? Alphonse?
Briefly, if you don't mind,
Stand up, shout, or whatever.
not so much as a department head, I want to take this opportunity as a citizen, because this has been something, the shape of this county for a long time. I've lived here probably just shy of 30 years. I can't tell you how optimistic I feel about the county in general, but with this fire district tax, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the current sitting board, to the chair, the work that's put into this, to Mr. Farron, to Bill, and also the citizens. This is huge, and I can't wait, and I'm so excited when they get to see what they've chosen to do. When they read the benefits of this, it's going to be absolutely huge. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for your work, too. Any other department heads? Joey, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting for once instead of...
Okay.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Ms. James?
I guess I could say a few things. On December 5th, that's a Monday evening, I already had a couple of people call me that have private applicators license. They're into the last part of their 5th year, so they're going to have to retake the test because they did not get recertification credits. So I am offering a class December 5th that evening for 1 hour recertification credit. NRCS, I said on their work group yesterday, the EQIP program is open for applications until November 18th. Anybody have any questions about that, they can certainly contact me. We can talk about it, but they also need to contact Lori Richardson at NRCS, and you must have your property on file with FSA. Cannot stress enough keeping your property on file with FSA because you don't get any help if you don't do that. And it seems like there was one other thing. Okay, there's been a lot of information in the past month, especially in October, about the screwworm in Florida. I do not think it will be an issue here. They cracked down APHIS extremely quick on that situation. There are checkpoints coming out of the Keys of Florida. It has not been found outside of the Keys of Florida. But if you have any questions about that, you can certainly ask me. If you have issues with any sort of wounds on livestock, pets, that look funky, not healing like they're supposed to, certainly contact me or contact your vets, and I think that's it today.
Thank you. Carolyn could not be here this morning. She just had one thing to mention. The candlelight tour will be in Warm Springs next weekend, and the 5K run is next Friday night, and there's still time to sign up for that. You know, it starts in Warm Springs. I can't even remember now if it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night. and runs through Warm Springs and through Roosevelt Warm Springs as well. So if anybody wants to still sign up for that. And also Mayor Prater could not be here this morning, and he asked that I announce that the hotel did get approved to be a Best Western franchise. So that was something they had been working diligently on, and so it will be called the Best Western White House Inn. They're still setting a tentative opening date of May, but the contractors are still saying they're ahead of schedule, so they're hoping maybe it will be a little bit ahead. But those two announcements were from them. All right, is there anyone else? All right, well, now we need to go into a public hearing. Can we have them, first of all, is there anyone else who wants to speak at the public hearing that has not signed up? Have you signed in? Did you? Okay, if you'll just sign in right there, please. Anybody else that needs to speak for the public hearing?
Sounds like you're sending out Morse code.
All right, can we have a motion to go into a public hearing?
So moved.
We have a second? Second. All in favor? We're in a public hearing, we'll turn it over to Ron.
Okay, the only case we had up this morning was Mr. Jeffrey Hunter, and because of his recent accident, he has formally withdrawn his application for rezoning, and he will be probably applying again later, once he's recovered from his accident.
Okay. All right, what do we do?
I think on this issue, he is withdrawing it, but I think, and Susan, you tell me if I'm wrong, you've actually already opened the public hearing, and so I think if the people here that want to speak on the issue,
ahead and speak.
probably need to go ahead and let them speak.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. First, I want to thank you for your service and your commitment to this county and the time that you spend working on it, and I might add, without significant compensation. So thank you very much as a citizen and a taxpayer. As a way of history, first let me give you some background to who I assume that you have the application in front of you. You know the subject site. So with that said, in a way of history, I represent the landowners to the west, to the north, and to the south. And to that extent, Ms. Sistrunk's here today, Mr. Barnes, who I think has spoke to his Commissioner Hadley and to Commissioner Plant about his feelings. He spoke to you, terrific. To that extent, he's of elderly age and he didn't get up to 10:30. So he was here at the previous meeting, but he told me there's no way he'd make it by 9 a.m. So please excuse him for not being here. Give you a little history and background. Starting before 2012, I purchased the initial property of approximately 78 acres to the south of the subject site and made an investment in it. Shortly thereafter, in 2010, I bought the site next to the subject site, so on both tracks to the south, and then Mr. Barnes owns the track for, so it's probably 1.5 miles to the south. To the north, I own, and then Ms. Sistrunk, who is here as well, owns to the north, and then I own to the west, and another tract of land that was purchased in '01. The last investment was made in 2010, and shortly thereafter, 2010, there was a building that was built on the subject site of approximately 600 square feet with someone living in it. At the time, I went and talked to the current head of planning and zoning, Mr. Garrett, who is still in planning and zoning, and expressed that there's someone living under a non-permitted home that appeared to have a well. He said he would send someone out to investigate it. He did. To that extent, there was exchange. Several months later, there was someone still living in the home. So I reached out to my, at the time, current commissioner, Mr. Larry Whitlock. Larry Whitlock then scheduled a meeting with Mr. Garrett. They had a meeting. The resolve was that the person had to move out of the house. Shortly thereafter, there was a permit for house number 1. That is approximately 1,620 square feet on the property, which is restricted to a 5-acre minimum. That permit was submitted. There was a request for there was no request for a perk test on that subject lot. There was an approval for a septic permit. The house was built, a CO was granted, but an inspection to the septic system was never done. But a CO was granted. So, the first thing I would say is to the commissioners is, how did that happen? Secondly, going forward in time, the second house, there was an application for a single family permit for another home. Okay? Now, I mind you that this is restricted to a 5-acre minimum. So the delineation for the permit, which I have in my possession, isn't any different for a single family permit than it is for a guest house. So this was done under the auspice of a guest house. And to that extent, I'm not sure how you could have got a single family permit if you're building a guest house that's approximately 80% of the size of your normal house. Further is in looking at the plans of the second house, it has the same number of bedrooms as the first house, but no septic permit. So I'm not quite sure how that happened. I'm not sure how he was able to get another single family dwelling without coming to this board first. So for the expansion. Now, it was told again, and I mind you, and I got this information from Mr. Garrett, that it was under the auspice of a guest home. Okay? Now, I didn't see anything in the file that I got from Mr. Garrett that said, how's he going to use septic? I didn't see anything in the file that says that the current septic for the original house that he had a CO for has been inspected. So I still don't understand that happened. But he got a permit to build a guest house. Unfortunately, in Meriwether County, our permits for a guest house and single-family dwellings aren't delineated. So he took that document and went and got a curb cut from the DOT.
What?
A curb cut, I apologize. A curb cut from the DOT. So now we have, which, when you come to the DOT, they don't find out, look at the zoning and whatnot. They think that's our planning and zoning and our board of commissioners' responsibility, so they granted him a curb cut. So for just way of history, I'm just giving you kind of where we are today. So I then learned of this, saw that they were building the house again, learned that it was a single family permit. Don't know how that happened because it's zoned for 5-acre minimum, but now we have 2 houses on the lots. The last thing I learned, and here's a copy, I got this. This was the submittal and request that's in your packet. I think you have a copy of this. And this is the prospective lines to break this 5-acre minimum lot now into 3 2-acre lots. When we already have a house built under the auspice of a secondary, guest house, but now we've circumvented the system and saying we want to delineate it into 3 separate lots. Okay? Now the problem is the house is already built. The second problem is I look at this, and if you don't have it, I'll
We
show
had
you.
it last time, I know, because I've
Okay.
seen that, I don't have it.
I'll give it to you, that's the one I got from the county. Is that if you take a quick look at that, the first house, if that's drawn to scale, which I was told it was submitted by one of our local surveyors, although I don't see a survey stamp on it, which, as point of process, if someone was going to submit something like this, it should be with a surveyor and have a registered stamp on it. And if we are going to go through this process and do it right, it should be, I think to Ms. Hines' point, this information should be delivered to the commissioner way in advance, and it should have topographical for runoff and perk test and all the requirements that are done in most counties. But the first thing I noticed about that particular drawing is the first house, if that's drawn to scale, violates the minimum setback rule, which is to its south, which is my property that I made an investment in. So it violates the minimum setback rule for the first house. And remember, they already have a CO granted by this county. They already have, and without a septic inspection. And now if that's drawn to scale, it's violated the minimum setback to my property. So that just gets us up to speed for history. I'm gonna go through a few more reasons that I would ask this committee, not only for lack of improper information, but for previous violations to deny this permit, or deny this request. When the county established the 5-acre minimum, the 10-acre minimum, the 25-acre minimum, I understand that there's times that they come to the county to ask for a variance for hardships, and I understand you want to leave that flexibility. But to my understanding, this was built for a guest house when no one's in the first house. The house was built under the auspice of a guest house, but got a single-family permit with no septic permit. So our policies and procedures are way off when it comes to granting these things. And I understand as the commissioner's charge when they established these particular minimums was they had a plan for the county. And I don't want to see that plan altered because it's a slippery slope. What if the county was to approve these 3 lots, just by example, and 3 families moved into these 3 lots, and they each had 2.3 kids, this is a losing proposition to the county, which means you're going to have to raise taxes, right? And I know you guys don't want to do that. Let's just assume everything was done right, which it wasn't, but assume it was done right. I don't believe that's the county's vision for this strip of property heading into our county courthouse. Because if that's the case, Mrs. Trump, myself, Mr. Barnes could take 3 miles of property and come in here and say, look, we want you to grant 2-acre minimums. You've set the policy. And we're going to have, 400 houses between here and the courthouse and 2-acre minimums. And they may or may not be within guidelines of the setback. I don't believe that's what you guys envision. So beyond the technical aspects of the permitting done incorrectly, done, in my view, to circumvent the system, beyond that, I don't think it's the right thing for the county from a broad perspective. So with that, I would ask that you deny the permit and send the signal pretty harshly that if you're going to have something like this and you're going to have a guest home, there's policy and procedure that needs to be put in place that prevents things like this going forward. Because in my mind, you guys have a challenge now. What do? You already have a house built that's circumvented the system. Do you not allow a CO for that house? I mean, it doesn't have any septic. To my knowledge, at least it's not in the file. So it's a challenge for you. Do you restrict now the CO? You pull it back until it comes in compliance? So, these are the kind of things I think Ms. Hines had communicated to me that she would like to see all this prior to making a decision, because based on what I see, I don't see how he got the second permit anyway. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, but I think that concludes my comments.
Are these houses, are they occupied at this time?
Not to my knowledge, and there's a better Google picture of them, Mr. McCoy.
I have one question. I just want to get clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
The initial house was built as a guest house originally?
No, ma'am. The initial house was built with no permit. It was 600 square feet.
That's the one I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was no permit. Okay.
Right. Now, the second guest house was an expansion.
Of that house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I needed. Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chairman, I'll get with Ron, and we'll go through and bring the board back some answers to
To the questions.
To the questions.
Then what do we do far as, I mean, I know the actual petition has been withdrawn, and he can certainly
Has it
come
formally
back.
been withdrawn, Ms. Alley, in writing?
Well, I mean, I heard what you heard this morning, so has it been withdrawn formally in writing?
Withdrawn. I talked to the, absent Mr. Hunter. He's confined to a bed in a wheelchair, and he was gonna get his written statement to me yesterday. I don't have it yet, but he has called and said he wants to withdraw.
Okay. Isn't that normally supposed to be in writing, though?
Well, yes and no. We don't have a policy that states whether it's in writing or not. We've had people in the past 20 years I've been here that for some reason will call me and say, well, they decided not to move forward the application or withdraw. And so this is no different than any other people that have called me in the past. But I can tell you, he is going to withdraw the application. He cannot go back and work for 5 months. And he built it.
Well, I do have a statement, and I think that it needs to be in writing from this point forward, because it becomes a hearsay situation.
Absolutely.
And we have to have something to back that decision made on that person's part.
Madam Chairman, what I think I'd suggest is, since we don't have a policy, what it actually has to be done, Ms. Anderson and I will actually talk about some procedures. I would recommend that y'all enter Mr. Whitaker's comments into the record. And if this issue comes back up again for application, that is something that could be considered as part of this application process. Of course, if they reapply, they have to come back in, everything would have to be advertised again, would have to come back before this board like it had never been. But I do think that that's something that could, could be noted and listed as some concerns coming in. Susan, what do you think?
Well, I agree with that, and I would also insist on a withdrawal being in writing. If we've got the application in writing, we don't have any confirmation that it's actually been withdrawn, other than, as was stated by Commissioner Threadgill, hearsay, basically. And we'll get with each other and try to
And
find
if you
something.
want to be sure that is in writing, I think another thing you probably could do would to be not close the public hearing, but continue it till your next meeting, and, and require that it be, and if it doesn't come in by then, you could act on it, I believe, and, take the action at that point. So that would be assured that we got it in writing. And then again, we put the comments and into the records.
Mrs. Trump, did you want to say anything? Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Ron, did you?
Yes. Since these comments are fresh on my mind, I want to respond to Mr. Curtis Whitaker, because some of his comments have made and explained how some of these things happen. Well, first I want to address the first house it refers to, where this Indian individual lived, which that went on for a while before we knew anything about it. Once we found out about it, we did take care of the situation. Now that old building that he was in, this Indian was in the beginning a playhouse for Mr. Hunter's kids. It was just a little bitty outbuilding out there. That's all it was. No septic tank, anything. So that's the story on that building. Now then later on, Mr. Hunter came to me and he permitted the first house, or the second house, which is the big house, and he built that for his mother. We got a septic tank certificate issued by the health department. It's in the permit file. The health department inspects all septic tanks, all connections. They don't notify us when they finish the inspection, but they are required to go out and inspect the septic tank installation. I recently found out from Eugene, the health department, that he was never called to inspect that septic tank system, so he didn't know it was in place. We issue CO based on everything being finished out there. We don't look at septic tank systems. That's not our jurisdiction. It's all delegated to the health department. So we've always assumed that the health department inspected every septic tank. This is the first time this has ever happened, 20 years I've been here. So that house was originally built for his mother. And then when he finished that house, he built a second house over there for a guest house for family and friends to come in and visit from time to time. Mr. Whitaker's got several guest houses on his property. Now, for some reason, the mother decided not to move into the house after this other second house had been built. And so later on, Jeff decided he would just separate these 6 acres into 2 3-acre lots. And he can do that by getting approval from the county commission board, which is what the rezone application was about. So, and now that, and the house, the first house, what used to be a little playhouse, Mr. Hunter took down that entire house except for the floor. It's about 600 square feet of floor. He used that 600 square feet of existing floor and foundation, and then he added around that this extra square footage to make a bigger guest house. All that's been inspected. That house is not finished, it's just framed up. His mother's house, what was going to be his mother's house, is finished. It was issued CO, but which was normal. We inspected everything, but we did not know the septic tank had not been inspected. Like I said, it's the first time that has happened with a house being finished, given the CO, and the septic tank system not being inspected. But as I said, the septic tank system is responsibility of the health department.
It seems like something that would need to be communicated at all times between
Well,
the
I've
health department and us.
already asked Eugene to give me in writing every time he inspects.
We know it hadn't happened one time, but there could be others out there
That's
if
right,
this
it
is the
could be,
case.
it could be. So I've already we'll take care of that. The health department will notify us when they have inspected the septic tank. That'll be part of the file.
We'll develop a checklist of things that need to be in that file before the CO is issued.
Yeah.
Well, I know they have the check off from Ron's department, but it needs to be added in there.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that'll happen. It's just a matter of me, seeing that Eugene sends us his inspection report. DOT permitted that driveways, both driveways out there. They permit driveways without any approval from the county because that's a state route. They don't have to get authority from the county to permit a driveway. They have their own parameters that they go by to issue driveway permits. And mainly it's the volume of traffic on the highway and the sight distance. Now, if Mr. Hunter in the future want to come back and build a third house, I don't know whether DOT will allow a third driveway or not. They might. Just depends on their engineering parameters. And there are 7 houses within 1.5 miles of this property that's on 2 acres or less. And I don't want to get further into the merits of the application or the non-merits of the application because it's been withdrawn. But I just wanted to make these comments while it's fresh in your mind what has been said here this morning. And I'll be honest with you, I do not know how this septic tank system permit did not get to my office for this guest house. I was told by my inspector and Mr. Hunter that my inspector, Wayne Strickland, Mr. Hunter, and Eugene met out there on the property of this little first house, a little playhouse. And I believe there's an existing tank system, and Eugene was out there, but Eugene, in his defense, says he remembers the conversation, but he doesn't remember much about the septic tank. And I was not able to talk to Eugene before this meeting to get more details because he's off this whole week. And but when I made and I'll do this again if application comes up again. But like I've told you, I believe I've told you last week, one hearing in the past, that we've got standards in our ordinance that govern the denial or approval of a zone application. And I review all those standards against the application, make sure the application satisfies all those standards, and that come out of Georgia Zoning Procedures Act. I think we've got 8. ZPL only requires 6, I think. So these zoning decisions, my recommendation is not just subjective. They are to a point, but I try, you know, these standards we've got in our ordinance are there to make my recommendation, your decision, as objective as possible. And so I looked at all those standards, and in my opinion, this rezone application stacked up against those standards. So with those comments, that's all I wanted to say.
Madam Chair, I have one
Yes,
question.
sure.
Ron, I'm trying to wrap all this. This is a lot of information, and once again, thank you for clarifying some things. At one point, were there 3 buildings on that property at any given time, or
No.
just 2?
Yes, Chief.
Just 2. The one that you said that was initially a playground, was that the one that was the 600?
600 square feet. That's
600 square feet initially,
initially,
and then it was torn down.
right. The house that's there now was built around that original 600 square feet of floor space. That's all.
Is that the house that was eventually supposed to be the mother's, the house that he was building for his mom?
Guest house.
A guest house?
His mother's
The
house
mother's
is,
was the 1,620 square feet.
Okay,
the second house is 1,250 square feet.
okay, okay,
1,250 square feet, which is the minimum size required in
Minimum
that
size.
zoning district.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
And I have a couple. What year did that 500 square foot playhouse originate?
I don't know, Mr. Whitaker might know just by being a property owner adjacent to it. I don't really know when that building was built.
How about the second house?
The second house, which would be the mother's house, 2012. It was permitted in 2012, and I don't know why she decided not to move in, but I think she lives in Alabama, but she decided not to move there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I got a
Yes.
question right there. On the minimum square footage of the houses, we have 2 different ones depending on zoning, right?
That's right.
Okay, all right.
That zoning district, minimum size is 1,250 square feet.
All right.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Yeah, just a comment.
Okay.
I'm a little uncertain of how the second house got permitted in the fashion that it did with a single-family dwelling without any idea of how we're going to use it for septic and without a perk test. That's a low-lying area. I question probably whether it would even perk. But I don't know how we could get another house and a permit to build it, and a single-family dwelling permit, not a guest house permit. I don't understand how that happened. And for clarity, someone was living in the first house, without question, without permit.
The Indian.
Correct. Whose property, as I understand it, it's really his property to begin with. He was the predecessor in title. I don't care about any of that. All I know is that there's 2 houses built there under the auspice of a guest house that's 80% of the size with the same number of bedrooms as the first house, with 2 separate cut driveways. Now, I don't know that DOT would have granted them another driveway without that permit. I know that if I went and said, look, I got a mile of road frontage and I want to put it, you don't have to have a house to have a permit, but if I wanted to put one every 50 yards, I'm pretty sure they would deny it. So to the extent that it says DOT grants that, well, maybe they wouldn't have if we didn't have a single family building permit. It's not their job to go back and research, what minimum square foot, minimum required acreage per single family dwelling. I'm still not certain how you get a second single family dwelling permit in this county without coming here first, right? All you're doing is circumventing the system. And look, I appreciate Ron's job. He's got a small department and a big county. And it's clearly, he doesn't have a plethora of inspectors helping. So I'm sensitive to that. But at the same time, I think this is a good exercise for Ron, and I think it's a good exercise for this commission to say, look, we've got some weaknesses. We got to fix them because things like this happen. Because I'm going to ask this commission to revoke the second single-family dwelling permit. I understand you're granted one, and I understand that. Even if it's built according to that plat in violation of a setback rule. Now, I went through their first application, no survey. No showing what the building is as compared to the adjacent property owners. No topo, no perk test. There's a lot of weaknesses in our application process that's caused this result. Again, you know, we're a rural county and I get it, right? I mean, there's history here that says, well, you don't have to have a survey, you just got to kind of show where the house is. But when you violate the potential setback according to that's provided to me, then I'm the adjacent landowner that made an investment in it, and I got someone stacked up on my property line. Then I got someone who built another house out of compliance. Then I got someone that doesn't have a septic permit, and their septic line, according to how this is drawn in this permit, is on top of my property line. All that can be cleared up with a survey. I would ask this committee to revoke the CO until they can get clarity on the inspection and to revoke the second permit. Because I don't think you've got enough information in front of you to approve.
Any other questions?
I'm going to comment again. DOT does not check with this county or any other county when they go out and issue driveway permits. I've been out there, their driveway permit is out there on the highway. Where they issue the driveway for the second house, the guest house. And like I said, they base their driveway permits on a lot of different things. They don't care what size house it is or anything. They don't care what size lot it is. They just look at mainly traffic volume and sight distance, safety concerns. Well, I'll be the first to admit that we found a problem with the septic tank system issue. So I'll correct that by making sure Eugene is going to notify me and give me a copy of his inspection when the next permit is done. As far as the septic tank certificate goes for the first house, the little bitty house, I just cannot tell you why we don't have it. I don't know why the permit was issued by a septic tank certificate. I'm just being honest. That's something I will follow up in my office because, you know, I don't have time to issue permits. Well, that's why I got my secretary to issue permits, permit technician. And of course, she's been with me 15 years. She knows all the rules, but somehow this one slipped through. But we'll correct that. But I need to find out from Eugene more details about that first house septic tank system. And give Eugene an opportunity to go back and search his file and see if he can find a tank system for that original little bitty house.
Are both houses connected to one septic?
No. And now, you know, we got a septic tank system now.
On that one, I understood that, I have not heard that there's a second septic system in place. I just want clarity, I'm sorry,
Right,
but
well,
I
the
didn't
first,
understand.
the mother's house has a septic tank certificate issued by the health department. Once we get that, we don't issue a permit until we get that. So we got that permit, Eugene's septic tank certificate. So the permit was issued. But, and again, we don't inspect septic tanks. We assume the health department's gonna inspect them all. But somehow, this one did not get permitted, and there's nobody living in the house, and although they have a CO, we know now there's not a septic tank in place, nobody will be able to move into that house. And the survey question about not issuing a permit before a full survey is done, setbacks, the house is set on the property and all that. We don't do that in this county, we never have. It would be it's costly to do a full survey and then get your application not be permitted. So what I've done historically is require the property owner to give me a sketch from a surveyor. And, you know, give me some idea where the project's gonna sit, so I can also give it to the county commission board. Well, that was done, and the surveyors told me, and this photographs that Mr. Whitaker's talking about, they're not drawn to scale, so you can't measure from those. But the surveyors told me that he plotted those, and he feels real sure that the property lines will be within the 20-foot setback distance from side property lines. Now, the rear property line setback is 40 feet, which is way back from Mr. Whitaker's east property line.
For further clarity for me, the wells, where are the wells located in relation to the septic systems? And how are you going to be able to align 3 wells and 3 septic systems?
Well, that's what the health department determined. And now you
But then
don't.
don't we require something in our planning and zoning that we should have up front
We do.
before we approve something like this?
We do. And we've got the septic tank certificate from the health department that shows the well and septic tank placement. But septic tank never got installed.
Are
We-
any wells on the property?
There's one down there with the, I don't know where they drilled, put a well. I think we got a well in the first house too,
One well?
for that house. Then the other house is served by another well. And the third house.
There's
That's
2
two
wells
wells.
and 2 houses,
Right.
but no 2 septic systems. 1 septic system?
One septic system, I guess, on the small house.
So we really don't know.
About the second house, with the little first house, the little bitty house, we don't know about that. The bigger house, the 1,650 square foot house, which is gonna be the mother's house, we have a septic tank certificate issued by the health department. It has a diagram that shows you where the tank goes in relation to the house, and the property lines also shows you where the drain field lines go.
Certificate has been issued, but it has not been installed.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right. You normally don't install a septic tank before you build a house. So when they come in with a septic tank certificate,
I thought this was on the second house, when the second house is built. This is too.
the second house,
This is very confusing.
I know, but
I'm sorry.
May I give a point of clarification, Commissioner?
Yes.
All right, in the permit, this is all that was submitted. Now, I know that looks out of scale, and I hope that it is, because as this stands, these drain lines, and it shows where the well's located, this septic lines would be on my property if this is accurate.
So this is your property over here?
Yes, ma'am, and over here, and over here.
Okay.
And if I may, Ms. Hadley, or Commissioner Hadley, bring one other thing. This is an inspection on the second home dated April 19th, 2016, by Wayne, the gentleman that works for Mr. Garrett, who inspected their water lines with 65 PSI. Okay, assume if they have water lines at 65 PSI, they have a well. I don't know if it's the first well or the second well, but they have it draining somewhere, right? They're just not turning water on, it has a sink and a drain system. So I don't have enough information based on this, although I know their drains are hooked to something. And whatever they're hooked to is not approved for. And the second question, even if they are attached to the first septic system that has never been inspected, that septic system is rated and a state reg on the size of the first home, not the second.
Not the second one.
So even if they are hooked up to the existing first system that's never been inspected, I don't know this factually, but if they went by the ratings of the first home, they would be in violation, be under septic. Now, if those lines are drawn as that application shows, then those lines are somewhere on my property. I don't know exactly where. But, you know, that's why I think a survey should be required.
Well, it's obvious that we need more information And I think, however, we need to do this to get more information, Mr. Wood. To be able to continue that and to address these issues, I know the original request has been withdrawn, at least temporarily. So what do we need to do to be able to get the rest of the information? We'll have all of Mr. Whitaker's comments and information as part of the record.
Well, I think that you have two issues here. One, you had a zoning request to add a, basically a third lot to this property, which has been withdrawn. But to me, you still have some outstanding issues, and that is water supply, sewer system, permitting on the houses. And what I would recommend is that, Ron and I have an opportunity to go take a look at this, talk with Eugene, maybe go out to the property and just see what's there, because I rode by it and it's not been there. And we will do that, and we'll bring clarification back to you guys at your next meeting to be able to answer these questions. And also from Mr. Whitaker too, he needs to know the answers to these as well. And so we'll do that, and that would be my recommendation. I would say that right now, I would continue the public hearing pending the withdrawal letter in writing, and allow Ron and I to be able just to get these questions answered and come back to the board.
All right, can we-
Sheriff, I would like to explain the water test, pressure test on the water lines that Mr. Whitaker just addressed. That water pressure test can be done with air pressure or water pressure. It doesn't matter. But it cannot be connected to a tank system, because, so it means the water's not draining well, because if it's connected to the septic tank system, then it wouldn't be any pressure. So the water lines, normally, and we don't test pressure tank, we don't test septic tank pressure, even health department don't do that. This water line pressure test was put on all the lines inside the house and all the way out to where it would connect into the drain line. And any open pipes are closed, they're plugged. So we put pressure on it either by air or by water. And that's to make sure, that's one of the inspections, make sure there's no water leaks in the house before they put the insulation up, before they put sheetrock on. That's all I have.
All right, can we have a motion to continue this, leave this public hearing open until we get written confirmation of the withdrawal of this request?
So I would set that at November the 22nd.
So the November 22nd meeting. We have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, this will remain open until our November 22nd meeting, and we can get confirmation for the withdrawal. All right, thank you. Thank you for the information.
Thank you very much.
All right, under old business, the first item listed there is the courthouse wall project. We had actually noted in our last meeting that that would be actually moved to the November 22nd meeting. So we'll just need to make note of that will be on our agenda then. Our next is the appointment to the Public Facilities Authority, and I believe that needs to be tabled once again. Is that in the form of a motion? All right, we have a second? Second. All in favor? Under new business, we have the appointment to the Board of Assessors for a term ending 12/31, which is currently filled by Greg Hobbs. That is my appointment, and I would like to reappoint Mr. Hobbs to the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right, next we have a presentation for the Meriwether County Airport Authority. We have Mr. Watson here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and I believe we have a PowerPoint
We do.
presentation.
I'm Michael Watson, the chairman of the Airport Authority, and we have Phil Eberly from Lead Edge Design, our engineering firm, who does have a PowerPoint presentation on what's going on at the airport and what we're doing. Come after Phil.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us. We're about to check out if this technology works right here.
Can you guys see okay with the
Can you
lights
see?
on?
That's better.
That's better.
Awesome, great. As Mike said, I'm Phil Eberly with Lead Edge Design. I'm Phil Eberly with Lead Edge Design. We do the planning and engineering for your airport. So we're here this morning to give a quick update on what's going on at the airport on behalf of the airport authority. We've got a lot of positive things. So let's see if we can get a slide to flip right here. If not, then there we go. Awesome. We're talking about kind of where we are now and then moving forward some things that you have opportunities to do out at the airport. So a cool thing about your airport is that it opened in May of 1932. Okay. There's 104 airports in Georgia, so about 2/3 of the counties have airports. The majority of those airports were built under Governor Sanders in the 60s and very early 70s, okay, about 2/3 of them. Most of the rest of the airports were all done in World War II. You're one of the few airports that's actually older than that. So you're kind of a pioneering airport in Georgia. Very cool historical element. May of 1932, the airport was dedicated, and Senator Roosevelt, on the porch of the old house out there, dedicated the airport. So you got really neat historical aspect. We've got some old newspaper clippings of all that. That's pretty cool. So that period of time, from an aviation standpoint, was kind of a golden age of aviation. You had Lindbergh in 1927. You had air races going on. A lot of really cool aspects related to the age of your airport. It's something that you can build off of going forward related to marketing and branding and things like that as you grow. That is not something that a majority of other airports have in Georgia. Like I said, there's 104 public use airports in Georgia. About a little over 4,000 based aircraft in Georgia. Tax revenue comes in from ad valorem tax, so just like you pay a car tag, planes that are based at your airport pay ad valorem into the county. So more planes based at your airport, more tax revenue, and that's a positive thing. There's also taxes on fuel sales and things like that as well. Just as a rule of thumb, when we look at aircraft, the value of a single engine piston aircraft, for example, varies wildly, but typically ad valorem on that would be $500 to $2,000 a year, for example. Twin engines, probably $2,000 to $4,000, and if you can get a small to medium-sized jet at the airport, that's maybe $15,000 to $150,000. A big deal in the improvements that were made to the airport when we opened just a couple years ago to 5,000 feet. It allows you to accommodate those business aircraft in. So the twin engines and the jets are allowed to use your runway. So that's an aerial photo of what you have out there right now. So looking at the airport today, you did the 5,000 foot runway extension. So at 5,000 feet, the big deal with the length of the runway is not larger aircraft, but the main weight of the aircraft is fuel. So with that length runway, it allows aircraft to take on a certain amount of fuel and fly a certain distance. For those that own like business jets, for example, they don't want to make extra stops. Those jets are time machines and they just don't have the patience for that. So from an attractant standpoint to business aircraft, that 5,000 feet very roughly would get you on an arc to like Texas, Iowa, Wisconsin, New Jersey that you would be able to fly to without stopping from your airport at 5,000. So it was a big deal to go from 3,000 feet to 5,000. You build a new 10-unit T hangar, it holds 10 aircraft. That is now full. So prior to the project, you had the blue hangar out there that was being used for maintenance. You had a couple based aircraft. Now, 10-unit T hangar full. There's a demand for more hangar space. The blue hangar is also full. The glider club's in there right now. You did win, if you recall, you won the Georgia Airports Association Project of the Year. So for all those 100 airports in the state, you won that award for that combined airport improvement project. So it kind of puts you on a tier and a good reputation. That has been borne out as the hangars have filled up, and now you've got a demand for more hangars. So more hangars, more ad valorem tax, all positive things, more fuel sales, more ripple effect economically out of what those users are doing in the community. So when you look to the future, a second 10-unit T hangar, and there's space made for that to be out there. Let's see if I can get that to show up. It's not showing up on the screen, but the second 10-unit T hangar would sit next to the one you have out there now. And then ultimately, and you've heard some discussion of that in the past, is a new fuel farm out there that allows, it's kind of an upgrade to what you have now. Allows sales to fuel 24 hours a day. People can fly in and purchase fuel. So it just allows your airport to continue to build off of the success it's had. That was an important slide, so I left it up there a little extra. All right, so if you look at also what's going on today, FA and DOT, if you remember, you get $150,000 in FA funding at a minimum each year, so that's kind of set aside. They tier the sequencing of that project: safety first, then capacity, then revenue generating items. So the money that you're getting for this year, they're prioritizing toward tree and berm removal, obstructions to keep approaches clear and space to the side of the runway clear. That will go on. That also then leads into ultimately a parallel taxiway project that will be built. As your airport grows in sophistication level, FA will move you toward having planes taxi out to the end of the runway and taxi back from the end of the runway versus back taxiing on the actual runway itself. It's all part of a maturing of your airport, which is very good. Also representative of the hangars being filled up. Let's see if we get into this guy. There we go. So when we look to the future, there's several things you can build off of, and I want to go back to that historical element of where the airport came from that's unique from kind of a branding and marketing standpoint. Before you had any hangars out there, marketing the airport wasn't a necessity because you didn't have runway length or capacity, anything like that. All right, you have a unique historical brand. Your airport's full now. The T hangar's been filled, the blue hangar's full. So as you go forward, on that drawing you see right there, the kind of terracotta color, those are proposed hangars. So this has been shared with FA and DOT. So you see you can continue to expand. You got more space beyond that. But the next thing I'm going to show is a little fly through that shows kind of a capacity for the next 5 to 10 year range that you might look at. And one of the big items that we'll focus on, and I'm going to have to walk over and launch this thing, I think. Let's see if it launches in the next couple seconds. Great, we'll go click on it. This is a fly through. Essentially, it's a little video that kind of shows. This shows what that might appear like. And one of the main highlights of that you'll see is an entrance road, a new entrance road rather than the one by the jail, and a terminal building in there. It's not large size, it's very adequate for the type of airport you have, but you could actually use that theme. The architectural style of terminal buildings doesn't affect the price much. So the style that you pick, you could do something that's very unique, like an Art Deco type theme, which is what's represented here. With that, and then adding those other hangars over time, they can be done by ground lease or you can build them yourself. But as you add those, that can become also part of kind of an event center where you've got those grass areas, you can have car shows out there, you can have summertime movies out there and show Top Gun and have people camp out, things like that, right? You can cut out certain parts of the movie you might want to cut out, but edited versions of Top Gun. But it is something that you can use as a community facility, so that terminal building also has a conference room in it, for example. And so we've done this some other places too. You do use that airport to kind of leverage into like a community center, so that you're basically doing what is an airport for your community and for the county. It's everybody's airport. Then you start to meld that in a little more with the growth, and so you're using it, letting everybody be part of the positive aspect of the build out. So this also ties into marketing campaigns you can do and branding and things like that. In the style of the terminal building, you see some Art Deco features in there. That could all be decided later whether you want to actually do that or not. But you do have an opportunity with the unique creation of your airport to brand it that way and have something that's very different than anybody else offers. The hardest parts for airport is the infrastructure stuff you already have in getting the 5,000 feet, for example. So you've achieved that. Just about everything else you do moving forward is revenue generating, other than the entrance road. So anyway, we just wanted to show that. I can make that available. I told Jane about that. Make that available to anybody who wants that. For the video separately, we have the PowerPoint available too. We have aerial photos, things like that. Bottom line is, you've got a great facility out there. You put a lot of effort into making that. A lot of positive things going on in the county. You can leverage the airport to help kind of achieve those other community goals, I think. And again, you've got a very unique aspect of where your airport came from. That's very attractive. Buster can certainly speak to that. Very attractive to others who would fly here, to see that building and then spend money in the community on tourism type activities. So that's all very positive, and happy to take any questions, but basically on behalf of the Airport Authority, we just want to thank you for letting us come and give that update, and we'll work with Theron, and we've been holding the Airport Authority meetings here, so Theron's aware of that, but we'll continue to drive some of these things forward, but be happy to update or answer any questions about any of that. if you'd like.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Getting back into the marketing and branding, if you don't mind bringing the one back up that had the actual buildings and all that. When you talk about a revenue generating, would that be something that could be leased out? When you market that?
Lease,
I mean, normally do those airports lease that out so that the county or whoever authority would not have the responsibility of the managing of it?
Yes, so what happens, you have two choices. So you get, when you get FA money, here's, I hope everybody's sitting down, there's strings attached to it, shockingly. So part of those strings are grant assurances and rules you have to operate under. And within those rules, you're allowed, you can't sell any of the property in fee. Okay. So you could, like for any of those hangars, the first hangar you got a grant for, so it's debt-free.
Right.
So that money that comes in the airport can use for operation or to match grants, things like that. So that's terrific, because that's not normally. There are very few airports that control everything on the airport the way you do right now, especially an airport of your age. So that's terrific. So as you go forward, you have a choice of following the FAA criteria. You can build the facility yourself. We can work on getting grant money to build a facility. You can build it and then lease it out at a retail rate to tenants like you do with the hangar you have now. You can also do ground leases where somebody else, Joe Smith would come in, they would lease property, they would incur the cost of building the hangar.
And the county just owns the land?
And yes, correct. And what you would do, this is fairly typical lease rates for a facility like yours would be something in the neighborhood of like 20 cents a square foot per year. It's pretty low. And then after 25 to 30 years, it reverts back to you. There's a reversion clause that's in there. So what that does, it allows you to, without the capital investment, allows you to have activity going. The big benefit to you is that ad valorem, that whatever aircraft go in those hangars are built, you still get the ad valorem, you get the fuel sales, you get the activity for things like, you know, a next tier thing that out there is being able to offer maintenance right, for your airport users, and that helps drive more activity, things like that. So there's several ways to kind of to work toward that. You can even do it concurrently, where you're building another T hangar with, you know, grant money or local funds, and then you're leasing land for some of those larger corporate community type hangars. All very positive. But I think you're kind of at a crossroads. We're beginning a discussion in the airport authority meetings where you're getting enough activity where that branding and the marketing by picking a clear focus with that, and really for you being able to tie into kind of the historical elements, it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer, because nobody else, the other airports would die to have, you know, that type of identity going in. So you're positioned really well, and you're about to start kind of a second generation of positive things out at the airport. So
It's, unless you go by it frequently, if you only go by the airport occasionally, you look over there, it looks like nothing's going on. I mean, that's the impression you get. And I think that's what we probably hear from the citizens. The average one does not know that hangar is full, and it is bringing in revenue. And maybe on our part, or along with the airport authority, we need to get that information out to the people. I don't know where in the timeline the improvements would come for as signage even, because a nice sign out there would go a long way to making people understand what's out there. Because I dare say most people, I mean, the comments I know I've gotten, why in the world would you put all of that money into extending the runway? Well, number one, a lot of them don't realize that we put very little money into this.
Right,
I mean,
so
almost all of this was grants, so we have really no money invested in that, but yet we are getting an income from it. So, I mean, it sounds great, and I would love for it to be a place where you could have a conference room or have activities out there. But to get the public to buy in, I think we got to have a little bit different look there, and it look like something is going on. I go by it all the time. I see planes landing. I see the ones that are coming in for Roosevelt, Warm Springs, the jet. But unless you buy it all the time, it just looks empty most of the time. Because the planes are inside the hangars too.
Right, they're right for security. And so one of the things, exactly to your point, is The entrance road that's really for the jail that they've got kind of morphed over to be the airport, that new entrance road punching in separately, that's something we're pursuing with FA funds. So, and like you said, FA funds, you're paying 5 cents on the dollar for those. 5% from DOT and then 90% from FA. So new entrance road would have that kind of permanent signage like that, that would be in line with an overall theme on the
This makes it look
airport.
like something
It
is,
does.
and we
It's-
know we've got to address the fuel system. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had issues
That's the one
with
thing that's
that
kind of
for-
a bit left over. Everything
Yeah.
else is new,
Yeah.
driving forward with stuff. So bottom line is, what goes on there in the sequencing of stuff is really driven by, so much by market. We'll drive FA funds to make other things happen, like obstruction clearing and all that. And then for whatever good work with Jane, whatever else you got going on in the county that you're leveraging in other community goals, we can do things here that help align with those to make it all happen. So,
Madam Chair, I do have one other thing. Because of some of the things that the state of Georgia is doing right now around transportation, which will always be a big discussion, and I just recently finished a class for Region 4 and the growth in Region 4 that's
Yes.
going on. How will this also assist us in our transportation part of this? Now I'm talking about the ground transportation part
Yes.
of this. How will this connect with this expansion? If this is something that the board, the citizens see forward, how will that, or have you all looked at how would that affect this region for
Yes.
transportation?
So you do have the ability, and especially the single runway airport, so compared to some of the World War II airports where there's multiple runways and they've got some extra space, you do have space because of the way the highway cuts in and all that. There's some other space in the front for anything that's intermodal related, things like that, we can tie that in as well. Particularly because from a tourism standpoint for you, and those people from outside coming in, there is space to provide, and that's why even with that entrance road and the parking, space for people to come in. You can even shuttle, we can talk about ways to shuttle and take advantage and advertise that out, so you do get an overlap in that. But there is, as far as the surface transportation tying to that, there's space to do that connectivity. So even if you've got, and I'll just use an example, this may not be something specific that you're interested in, but for like park and ride and things like that, with the space we have, we can create that. It also plays into space that we would need for any events you have out there. So having the main thing we want to create out here is flexibility, so that you can, you guys can sit here and have somebody bring you something, an opportunity, and say, we have the ability to use this facility to help drive that opportunity.
And Madam Chair, the reason I wanted to hear from him on that level, what's going on 85 with the new project with the water part, and as these people are coming in, how are we going to position ourselves to bring people in and to get them to those facilities, be it a private or whatever? And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, I noticed there's a lot of activity at the one in Noonan. Is that a training facility? Because I see so many. So is that an opportunity that we can look at down the road as well?
And effectively, yes. And that's why and I'll use if you kind of divide by that entrance road, the hangars that you see on the far side are a little bit larger. So if someone would do groundless and build that for a flight school like what we have at Noonan, that's a large flight school. It has a lot of Chinese students that are over doing training. All those elements, the flight school, the maintenance, the things like that, all come with you being able to offer a place for them to be. You have the space, which is the key, and by you being able, what we would see if we had to guess right now is you'll continue to go, like the second T hangar, you probably would pursue FA funds and local funds to do that one. The bigger ones, ground lease, let it pursue that way. And so you're trying to set a ripe environment to incubate, that type of activity. Like you said, the water park. People will fly in here to go to the water park if they have some ability to access Webster Shuttle Strip, and it could very well be a private entity who goes, you know what, I see that opportunity and I'll make that investment, and then you're just, you're providing the facility for them to do that, and then it's job creation and positive things. So that's great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting us do the update. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the update.
Any questions for me?
Just because you saw your members.
Introduce
Yes, A.J. Atkinson is here. Our Secretary Treasurer Paul Harmon is here also. And Bob Gordon is not here, and Oscar Parker is not here.
Thank you for being here this morning. Okay, next is the discussion on the Lake Meriwether Advisory Board. I believe Mr. Jay has handed us
Yes, ma'am.
information to look at.
I handed, last time I just had a marked up version for you guys, and Kelly put this into a much more readable format. This is in your county codes as part of that. So I think we're going to have to go through the process and procedure to adopt this, and probably repeal the existing one that is there. So there again, if it is the board's pleasure, we'll move forward with that procedure. But in the interim, I wanted y'all to take a look at it and determine if there's any other things that, that we want to add or that we want to change. Now, this does not include the day-to-day operations and the fees and all of that. We need to establish those. Some of those are in the, county codes as well, so we're going to need to update all of those things. But this is the first step in getting an advisory board get back together for your Lake Meriwether facility. And one of the things, the biggest things on this is, like I say, in your records, you had the ability to have a board. And it included like ASCS member and some other people. We changed that over a little bit because ASCS it was at the time, it's no longer in existence. So what we thought would be good to have each of you appoint a member, and we would stagger the terms. And then from there, maybe one of the board members serve on that advisory board. And then somebody from the Woodbury, it could either be a council member or mayor, and maybe we need to change that, or mayor. And that way, they can have some input into what goes on too, because it is a water source for them. And I do think that one of the things we really need to do, I know we want to promote recreation, there's a great opportunity there, but we always need to do it in conjunction with protecting that water source. Because right now it serves the city of Woodbury, but it has the potential to serve, and expand. And I know we've all talked, and you guys have talked very heavily about expanding the water system at some point, and being able to high rate or increase that plant and utilize that existing lake would be a very much more economical way of doing that. So if you guys will let me know if you see any other issues or concerns here, and if it's the board's pleasure, we'll put this back into the process to have that document.
Are there any questions for me?
I think what I'm hearing, Madam Chair, is we can take this and read it at our leisure.
Absolutely.
Come back next meeting and make any recommended changes that we see.
Yes, sir. And what we'll do is we're going to have to go through, Beverly, when we change the, and Susan, when the procedure here for changing something to go, you have to have the first reading.
Yes.
Second reading.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have all of that.
Once we get back with you on this.
Absolutely.
So does this just need to be tabled to our next meeting?
Yes, ma'am. It just needs, I wanted you guys to have this legible copy.
All right, can we have a motion to table the Lake Meriwether Advisory Board ordinance to our
So
next
moved.
meeting? Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. All right, next is discussion of the December 27th meeting. Typically, we do not hold that last meeting in December because it's right there in the middle of the holidays. It's on the 27th, so we're open for discussion on that or suggestions.
It's up to the board. I mean, if you had something that came up that was an emergency, you could always call a meeting. But it's kind of hard to get, a lot of people take time off during that period of time, so we travel between
Well, the offices will be closed on that Monday too.
That's
Well,
right.
that Friday and Monday leading up to that because the holiday is on, both holidays are on the weekend.
And that'll put extra stress on Beverly and others or having to get everything ready.
That's
It's tough
typically
to
what
come
we've
back
done.
after
We've
a
usually
holiday.
just had the one meeting in December. Can we have a motion to cancel the December 27th meeting?
I move that we cancel December 27th meeting.
May I have a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, we'll have the one meeting in December unless there's a need otherwise we'll have a call meeting at that point.
Right. That'll allow us to go ahead, anybody that's got anything they need to get onto the agenda, they'll know, they need to get it on by the first meeting.
Okay.
So, thank you.
All right, next, we added number 5 under new business, and that's the purchase of an ambulance from Taylor County.
Right. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, I had talked to you guys about this. We needed to move forward with this unit. We had been using it as a loaner for a spare, and it's in really good shape. The chief's here, he can, if you both here, they can tell you about it a lot more than me. But anyway, had an opportunity to buy that ambulance. We only had 2 backup units, and one of those was experiencing mechanical problems. We had an opportunity to buy that for $9,500, which was a really good deal. And then, of course, we have to license it and put it on board. But it's a really good unit. We needed to go ahead and move forward because they were anxious to get it back or have us, purchase it. So we think it was a good move. And so I just really want to get that confirmed back into the records and purchase that. I think Bill already has the title and everything on the ambulance. So it's ready to go and be in there.
Any comments from that?
Good unit.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to confirm.
All right, do we have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. All right, now we'll move to report from our finance director.
You got the 2 reports in front of you, the bank balances, the general fund balance is still pretty strong. Anticipate that being the case the rest of the year as tax revenues coming in. We will have to pay out of that the road repairs and the bridge culvert replacement, so that will feed into that somewhat, but it still is pretty strong. The property tax report, we've added the 2016, I forgot to change the title, it should be 8-year analysis and not 7 years. That's on there, we collected, that commission office collected almost $590,000 through the end of October. So we should collect a substantial amount of that before the end of the year, which we'll need to pay the TAN back and to operate on. That's all I have there, unless you have any questions. Later you can get back to me.
Have we had a really quick increase in the hotel motel, or have they just not gotten their money lately? 'Cause that's a lot more than it normally is.
I need to write a check in. I noticed that yesterday when I was doing the
Okay,
report.
I just didn't know maybe we had an increase.
On the health and wellness front, we just finished up our walk. October is National Walking Month, so we got a contest with employees to walk, to win prizes. Excuse me, we had 32 total participants in the wellness program, which we thought was pretty good. We had 10 people that reached a level of 10,000 or more steps a day. The person that finished first is in Public Works, Sue Gordy. We'll give her a $100 prize. She averaged 15,976 steps a day over the month of October, which is just crazy. She must do it instead of sleeping. But had 9 more people in that category, and then we had 3 or 4 other categories. So what we like to do is do a drawing to award those prizes. I'll just throw these in there. This is a drawing for a $500 prize, cash prize. Ruffle those around and draw that out.
Like somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
You can sign that. That's your job.
Will Schoenfeld? Is that how you say it?
Yes, ma'am.
Where does he work?
He works at EMS. And,
Okay. $500.
If you remember from last time, the biggest winter contest we had, he won the prize for that too.
Oh, really? Okay, well, awesome. Okay.
Change it to some
I've got this. Don't roll these out.
Don't roll those out. This is for a $250 prize. Just stir them up together.
Sue Gordy.
Sue has complained that she never wins anything. This is the $100 prize.
Jesse Brewer.
Jesse Brewer.
His partner, his Shanto's partner.
Going on here.
Did you get that?
How much was that one? $100?
That's $100. Next one
Find out
is
what their secret is.
$50 one. That'd be the last one.
Mary Marshall.
Mary Marshall. She works in Public Works.
Okay. That's all of them?
That's all of them. And I do have one other thing. From time to time, the employee incentive, a benefit, so to speak, we purchase gear for our Public Works employees, and this couple of months ago, we decided we wanted to get them new work boots. So I put out bid requests to 3 stores in the county that sell boots. And I asked them, I said, how cheap would you sell us these boots? Give us a good price. So Cedar Rock stores in Woodbury came back and agreed to sell us the boots at their cost for the Public Works employees. So I'd like to thank the Collins family for them doing that, their gracious willingness to do that to help our Public Works department. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you to all those who participated. All right, now we'll have our reports by County Administrator.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. We appreciate that. We've already talked about our advisory board on Lake Meriwether. I had that as a note here. Transit bus, we'll let you know we checked on that 3rd transit bus, and the buses have been ordered by GDOT. They had an issue, I think, with the original bid withdrawing, and so they've been ordered, but they don't have a delivery time. So we'll keep you guys posted on when that 3rd bus unit will be coming in. The 2017 LeMig, Terrell and I talked about that a little bit more. By your next meeting, I'd like to be able to have the road list, what we could go ahead and do and submit to GDOT, because I'd like to get that to them in early December. Terrell's going to go ahead and ride some of the roads, make some
I was thinking, we get some feedback, so we have something to go by for our districts. You might have some suggestions that we're not aware of for our districts.
So that's what he's going to put some suggestions out, and then you guys can select. Based upon this year's bids, we should be able, in fact, we got a little bit more money. We should be in the 12 to 14 mile range total, depending if we utilize the same program we had. We had 11 miles last year, and we're getting about $150,000 or so more dollars, going to $654. So anyway, we should be able to do that. So that's about the mileage that we're looking at to be able to come up with.
We're rolling back with a 3-layer with sand.
If that's what you guys want. We can also bid that multiple ways. We can bid it with conventional asphalt, we can bid it with the other way to see what the price difference is. We can have alternate 1, alternate 2, and then you guys can select at that time. So,
I've been on the roads though, and I think they look good.
They do.
It's not like, it's not that smooth expressway kind of feel to it, but it's a good road and it looks good.
And when it rains, it's going to wash some of that dust off. It's going to look a little different because it hasn't rained since we painted it. And when we get it striped, it's going to look good too.
Well, you think about if we were to have ice or snow or whatever, those roads would have to be easier to travel than a smooth asphalt road, I would think.
Right. Yeah, you would get, depending on if it wasn't filled the whole way or up, but yes, but it would be. And again, they're good roads. They're not quite as smooth, but...
it's not anything that's going to damage your vehicle or whatever.
And it smooths out because the more traffic it has. This road out here has really changed. It's a lot different in riding.
The county line has already changed from the time I first looked at it till on it last opening weekend.
Right. And it was about 60% of the cost, so that allows us to have more miles. So, but we got some time to decide on that. We just need to get these roads into GDOT where we can go ahead and get our big dollars.
Has anybody else had any feedback from anybody on that?
The feedback that I've had has been positive. The people, once they got on it,
I hear everybody's really like this, because Tyrell and I were talking the other day when we were riding and looking at some things. We were riding over pothole patches. We've got a lot better road there. So anyway, we'll bring some more information back to you guys at your next meeting on that. Update on CSX. I was out there, Tyrell out there last week. They have had a little backlog on getting the stringers in, so they moved from Sibley Road to Dan Stribling. They were working over there. There's some limbs they want us to help them cut back on the backside, and Tyrell and his crews are going to take care of that, where they can get their equipment in. We also talked to them about once those materials come in, they've got about 5 to 6 more days of work on Sibley Road, and they'll have that completed. Once they get real close on that, I want to call GDOT back and have them re-inspect it, since they officially closed that road. And we'll get that re-inspection done, and as soon as that happens and they give us a clear view, we'll go ahead and move forward. Terrell and I also talked to them about some of the material that had been removed and the possibility, because they can only reuse material that's 21 feet or so long. So any of the shorter material we might be able to use, and so they were going to check and see if we might be able just to have that material. And so that was Tyrell's idea when we were out there. He said, I sure would like to have some of that. So we just asked them. So anyway, those projects are coming along well, and and we're moving forward with that.
Like molasses in the winter.
Right, it is. But when you consider how long it took to get there, it's doing well. July Road is now open. We've got that complete, and I think they're working on King Road right now.
Yes.
And so that project's moving forward. Terrell and I actually met with Mayor of Warm Springs the other day. They've requested some assistance on their parking lot they're going to pave. What they really want us to do is bring some more gravel down. They're going to pay for all the materials like our policy is. And I think they wanted to look like very thin asphalt that's kind of broken up, and we can do that for them. And
they expanded just a little bit because they found they could put 3 buses in there. They made just cut a tree down and made a little additional room, and they could get 3 tour buses in there.
Right, and it'll look good when they get it done. And the gravel is just to give them 8 inches of GAB before they put the asphalt down.
Mr. Claren, just for general info, they buy the materials, we do the work.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they buy the materials, we do the work. And from there, we've got a couple of notices from GDOT on some projects that they're doing here in Meriwether County. And I want you guys just to be aware that this is actually from a historic Preservation Act standpoint. They want to identify historic places. I've looked at these, I don't see any real issue with this, because they're actually working within their right-of-way and doing some curb cuts. But they're going to do a road maintenance activity on almost 16-mile section of State Route 18 from the Harris County line to State Route 41 in the vicinity of Greenville. And then they're going to turn around and they're going to do 11.43 mile section of State Route 41 in Meriwether from State Route 85 to State Route 18. What they're going to do is they're going to resurface these roads. They're going to put in some more curb cuts that are compliant with, ADA and other things. So that work is probably a year or better off, but they started the process. If anybody has any concern on that, please let us know, and we can get you the full packet of information.
Can we still stick up your splash dollars at work?
We can do that. We need to get those and move them around. Let's see, other things. So we got our methane monitor report in at the Durand landfill, and while it shows methane, there's no migration off site, so it's everything is good there. We've got notification of our safe dam program, where if you have a category 1 dam, you have to develop a hazard plan in case there was a dam breach or something with the building. I talked a little bit about that yesterday. We're gonna see, that's gotta be done by July. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. A couple other things, Commissioner Hines, I want to recognize Commissioner Hines. She's been attending and she's got her certificate that says hereby acknowledges that Shirley Hines of Service Delivery Region 4 has successfully completed the Regional Economic and Leadership Development Multi-Session Program as of November the 8th, 2016, Georgia Academy of Economic Development. And I know, Ms. Shirley, you've shared a lot of the things y'all been talking about in the class with me, and some good things you want to bring back to implement here in Maryland County. So number one, congratulations to you on the award. Also, somebody else wanted to recognize that somebody pointed out to me, Miss Jane Fry. Miss Jane, you know, she doesn't like to, you know, draw attention to herself or whatever, but somebody was in the 85 South paper that comes out, had made a note here, and it's talking about things in the communities and in our surrounding areas. And it says, enjoy one of LaGrange's annual holiday traditions, the Mingle with Kringle and Christmas Parade, Thursday, December 1st. And it says, this year's Grand Marshal is Miss Jane Fry. Congratulations. It is going to be on Thursday, December the 1st, starting at 3 p.m. You actually meet Santa at the Christmas tree light. And, like I say, congratulations to Miss Jane. She does a lot
That's
for
great.
our community. And then, the last thing I have is I wanted to talk just very briefly about the fire district. And I wanted to start out by thanking the citizens for their foresight to come to the meetings we had, to understand this is a great move to move Meriwether County forward. I think it sends a very strong message, particularly when you consider the percentage of victory on that. And hey, we're ready to take that next step.
Not only was it over 70%, but you look at what the turnout, voter turnout was in the mid-70s, I think. So 70% of those people voted for that. That's a lot.
And the last numbers that Brenda sent me last night, I looked at it at each precinct, and it passed in every precinct. So to me, that says a lot too. I also want to thank this board. You guys had the courage to go out and put this out there for the citizens to go out and meet. I know a lot of you took a lot of your time to set meetings up, to attend those meetings, and we sincerely appreciate that. Also want to thank the cities, because they stepped out as well, and they were willing to partner with us, and they supported it. And Manchester, even though they were not part of this, they actually were very supportive as well. And everybody in the county is going to see a benefit from this. I want to thank Bill for all of his work on this, Alphonse and Keith. Appreciate what these guys have done. Brian, Skip, Kelly in our office have put some of the PowerPoints together, and just want to say many thanks to them. We've really got a big job ahead of us now, because our plan is to implement this in 1 year, and we're going to make that happen. And again, I appreciate it and thank everybody for their support of the fire district. That's all. Thank you.
We'll move on to the report from my county commissioners and Commissioner Craig Gill.
Just a couple of things. I want to thank everybody for turning out last night and voting, expressing your pleasure as to who you wanted, and congratulations to everybody that won. I do want to say to Rosa that I personally will miss you. I think this board has done a lot, accomplished a lot, and it's very nice to have somebody with your knowledge base to help us through all of it. So you will be missed personally.
Thank you. Appreciate that part.
That's it.
And I want to offer congratulations to Mrs. Bray and welcome aboard. And I certainly want to say my appreciation to all the staff that I've had with it's kind of like coming full circle for me, and it has been a tremendous pleasure for me to work with the people that we have on board now. There's just no doubt in my mind whatsoever, we have got a great team. And I just encourage everyone that the team means that together everyone achieves more. If we can keep that in mind, we can keep moving Meriwether County forward on all accounts, not just one, but on every aspect of Meriwether County. I also want to say a special thank you for the display Eyes of Freedom that was in Manchester High School last Thursday. If you did not see it Thursday or Friday, you missed a wonderful opportunity. And a special thank you to all our veterans. And I know there's been several opportunities that we've all been given. There will be another one Friday morning at 11 o'clock that would be a ceremony at the Methodist Church here in Pringle. And I would encourage everybody to please show your support for our veterans because they mean the world to us. And last, but have not heard anything on my 404 permit for Graham Road in Montgomery. I guess I'll go out and ask you.
Well, we've not done that, but the engineers are moving forward with, you know, the designs and everything. So when those permits are secured, we will be ready to move forward. And we're going to keep you posted on that, get those things done. And I did call Ms. Stone yesterday and thank her for her help on getting the right-of-way for the King Road project. She was a citizen who went above and beyond to help us with that, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you for putting me in contact. So,
That's welcome.
absolutely.
That's it.
I too want to welcome Ms. Bray aboard. Look forward to working with you in January. I also want to say to Rosa what a pleasure it has been to work with you. You are certainly an asset to this board. And as the longest member on this board, I can tell you, there has been no board like this one right now in a long, long time. So I expect only that to continue, that we work together as a team to better Meriwether County. And I can't say enough either about the fire district vote. I mean, I just cannot tell you what it did to my heart to see those numbers and know that the citizens are putting their trust in us to move this county forward, because they're voting to pay more money. I mean, when it gets down to it, we know you have to do that in order to move forward. And for that percentage of the residents, citizens of this county, to trust us enough to implement that plan and better our fire service and our first responder service, it means the world to me. And we will not let you down. This is gonna be a good program. It's gonna be good for Meriwether County, and hopefully it will just expand as time goes on. Next weekend is a big weekend in Warm Springs, as I mentioned earlier. It is the Candlelight Tour. We were able to have the largest harvest hoedown that we've had in a number of years. Tourism is coming back in Warm Springs, and we do attribute a lot of that to the Bullock House, to the owners there, and them being on Main Street. But if you have the opportunity, do come down to Warm Springs next weekend. The shops will be open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Santa makes a grand entrance on Friday night and Saturday night, somewhere around 7 o'clock. There's a parade Saturday morning. And I just encourage you to come and be a part of it. Help get into the spirit of the holidays. And there are good things happening there. And I've been fortunate to see another side of it, being a merchant there now. They have a very active Merchants Association, a very active Downtown Development Authority, and I'm telling you, they have got some things on the table that just even a portion of them come to fruition. It's good for Warm Springs, but it's good for Meriwether County. So just kudos to the mayor and the council and those people in Warm Springs that have already been working tirelessly to bring some of these things to happen. Thank you. Commissioner.
I guess I'll start off showing on the same plug in the back of y'all showing on there. Certainly was good to see the turnout, and I'm so glad that the fire districts did go through after all the work's been done. Congratulations to Miss Mary, Miss Andrea, and y'all's win, and everybody that did. Great job. I guess our plate's loaded even for next year already, and so we'll just get ready to hit it running. One thing I would like to mention, although Miss Roseland did steal part of my thunder, and I'm gonna miss that, I seriously. There will be a veterans program at 11 o'clock on Friday at the Methodist Church. Please, and it's not just for veterans, folks. If you're available to attend, please come by and attend. And also, Zion Hill Baptist will have their veterans breakfast this Saturday at 9 a.m. At least we think that's 9 a.m., so we're pretty close on that. There has been a lot of activity, and this last week has just been loaded with veterans activities, with the parade, with the museum, the flag retirement. There's been just a lot going on, so, and we're always thankful for that. I did have one question that I've been mulling over as I look at my emails. Do we now have the work order system up, Bryn, where we can get into it and start using that to?
Oh, well, what's happening right now as far as if somebody goes online and puts in a request, it will shoot you an email, as it's supposed to, that they're in that district. Basically what it does, it gives you a copy of the work order so you can follow up on it. We're working on that as well. Matter of fact, we put a phone call on it, I think it was a week ago, to try to get some more information about how we can better improve the system, at least on our end. The system is actually quite inexpensive. I was really surprised to find out what we were paying on that, and and you are referring to the iWorks program?
That's exactly.
Yeah, to make sure we're on the same page. But yeah, it is, as far as that goes, and we're looking to do a little bit more with it.
So I can go in and initiate a work order if I'd like?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess with that, Madam Chair.
If somebody calls you, yeah, you can go in and.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Hines? Once again, congratulate those who have won, and to Ms. Plant, it's been a pleasure working with you as well. As the chairman has already stated, this has been a fascinating board to be a part of. When you talk about being visionaries and working to help this county grow, I would say in my time here in Meriwether County, this is the first time I've experienced a board who has really looked at the big picture. So it's been a pleasure to be able to work among those who are looking at Meriwether County in the biggest picture. The other thing too, you just can't say enough about the fire district. It was a very personal thing for me after visiting some of our fire stations and seeing the conditions and realizing that we had to do something. And when Mr. Gay presented to this board some options, and the board was very willing to look at this and then to present it to the residents of Meriwether County. And the response was overwhelming. And so this is a great move for us. I believe that once we implement everything, people will be very happy and very pleased with the results. And so once again, I thank the board as a whole looking at how we can do this, but most of all, I want to thank the citizens of Meriwether County looking forward and getting some things done. Excuse me. For the past 4 months, I have been attending a class in Griffin for the Department of Georgia Economic Development. It's been very enlightening, and the class that we had yesterday talked about Region 4. We're in Region 4. Talked about the counties and what's going on in this region, and a lot of exciting things are going on in this region. When you look at what's going on in Coweta, Heard, Troop, Spalding County, and Meriwether County is right in there. We're being looked at in a lot of different ways, in a very positive way, from our tourism to just the industrial park. So there's some good things, but what I have learned in that is that we've got to partner and bring more people to the table. And you've heard me say this several times, you have to tell your story. And the more you tell your story and share all the good things that's going on, all the exciting things that's going on in Warm Springs. Warm Springs came up several times in the class. Everybody talks about the Bullet House. That is like a landmark thing for Meriwether County. And so everybody mentions that. I also want to let this board know and the citizen know that our geocache event was very well received. A lot of people were speaking highly of that. So even though you may not hear things directly, you'll be amazed how other people are looking at you. It's kind of like what the gentleman said about the airport. We have a history there. Other people are interested. So as long as we're presenting this in the most positive way and think outside of the box of how we can bring more economic development to the county, I think we'll be moving in the right direction. So thank you. Oh, I have one other thing. Mr. Gay, I understand Mr. Gay and Theron and Ron went back out to look at Beulah Evans Road.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you all decide on any specific things? I know we have a representative from the community here today.
We did, yes, ma'am. We went out, and Tyrell and Ron and I went, and we looked at some of the things with the road. We're going to put, there's some very deep curves in the road. We're going to put some advance warnings up for those curves. Where the buses will not, have an issue with cars coming around. We're going to look at some speed limit signs. They'll probably be more for just suggestions than enforcement, because it's hard to enforce it, once you get below a certain speed limit. We're going to look at doing something with the washboard in the road, but right now is probably not the time. We need it to rain, because we're just going to create dust and powder when we do that. Ron looked, there are a couple of properties there that are dilapidated and abandoned, and an old car. Ron's going to go back and he's going to take care of that through the process to get those issues addressed. So we appreciate the citizens there bringing this to to your attention, to our attention. And like I say, we've already been back out and we've taken a look at that. I did take a look at the bridge on Barron Road. And Tyrell knows a lot more about this than me, but the slab looks really good. It's really thick. It is not cracked, but it looks like it's something very heavy went over it and it kind of sunk on one side. So they're going to try to address that again, and then we'll also get the state engineers, bridge engineer back down to look at that road plus some others we have, because they have some more programs to be able to address some of these small bridges, and we want to try to take advantage of those programs.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Henderson?
On this week of Veterans Day, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Commissioner McCoy and all of the others who served in our armed forces over the years. We thank you for your service, and I hope you enjoy your Veterans Day. It's well deserved, and we do have the need for an executive session. We've got some issues regarding personnel, real estate, and tax matters.
And I do have one other thought of potential litigation.
Okay.
All right, next we come to the time in our meeting when we have the opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to say anything, you're welcome to come to the podium. Give us your name and address, and we'll allow you 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Wendy Thickman. I live 405 Quail Drive, Greenville, Georgia. I just wanted to bring something. The PTO president at Unity Elementary asked me when I was here if I would address getting our volunteer hours logged into the system. The problem is if we get those hours logged into the system, it'll boost our ratings up a whole star. And that's huge, because when people are looking to move here, they're looking for schools. That's your first criteria. So it's I don't know what the problem is. I know that we went to administrate the school administrator. We've been to other people trying to get this done, and I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why it's not able to be done. But we have, like, our PTO president is there 32 to 40 hours a week, every week. Those hours aren't being logged for the last 2 years.
That would be something for the Department of Education, though.
We've already addressed that.
We don't have any say over that, unfortunately, though. We're completely separate from them. So have you talked with Superintendent Dr. Dixon?
The PTO president has talked to Dr. Dixon. She's talked to of course, Ms. Kendricks, and they say they're working on the problem, but I would, I don't understand why it's that difficult to log the hours.
Who is your school board representative?
Mr. Hinton.
Who's your school board representative?
It would be Mr. Hinton.
Hinton?
Mr. Hinton.
Okay.
And Madam
Maybe
Chair.
reach out to him, you know, and
Spell that?
Hinton.
Okay.
Somebody at the BOE office could certainly give you contact information for him, I would think, or it may be on their website, even if you look it up, but that would be your representative. Or you could contact any of the school board members. But,
Well, and she's worked on that, the president of the PTO has worked that angle. She asked me to come here, and then I asked Ms. Kendricks, the principal, if I should come here and say it too, and she said, yes, please. So
Well-
I don't know, maybe nobody knows who's supposed to be.
we really have no authority or anything over
Okay.
the Board of Education. They are completely separate. Yes.
When Ms. Lindy brought this to my attention, I have personally reached out to Dr. Dixon. He said he would follow up on that, but as they're stating, this is not something that this board addressed, but he is aware of it, and I will put it, I called him and also did an email, so I feel very confident that someone from the school board will either reach back out to Unity School. They're very thorough in doing things of that nature, so it's just a matter of maybe a process, you know, but as I stated, we can't, you know, make any decision about that, but we do appreciate that it's been brought to our attention, and once again, that is what's so unique and very good about this board, even though it's not something we personally can handle, but we'll be more than willing to make sure that information is getting into the right hands.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is anyone else?
I have something I forgot to mention. I just wanted to remind you that I have a vacancy on our Development Authority Board due to a resignation, and then by the end of the year, I'll have another appointment due. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind since you're not meeting one time in December.
I'm working
I
on
would appreciate
one of them with no success so far, but I'm working on it. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Our future meetings will be November the 22nd for our regular meeting at 6 o'clock. The offices will be closed November 24th and 25th for the Thanksgiving holidays. Can we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're going into executive session. Thank you for being here.
I like